Y'all know one of the things that we talk about here in the I am community is all of the things that it takes to be a well entrepreneurial mind. It's not just about building wealth, it's about building ourselves. Y'all know who I am. It's y'all favorite attorney, the lethal weapon, the superpower, the one that gets the job done for you and your business. But today we have somebody special. Now, I would tell you about him, but I'm not going to do him justice in all the work that he's done throughout the nation. And so help me welcome Orlando Vick. Hi, Orlando.
What's up, everybody? What's up? How y'all doing out there? Hope y'all doing
Tell us a
good.
little bit about yourself and all the things that you've done so far.
Uh, okay, you want the short version or long version? Oh, we're gonna keep it in the
Give us the
middle
version we need that's going to make an
here.
impact.
Okay. Yes, I am Orlando Vick, founder and CEO of Wounds Healed Out Loud, and also project manager of Recovery Answer Behavior Health Services. And I man, God has given me such an amazing story. And that is starting me off with, you know, music. And I did not know the impact of music and what it had until I started to understand what it could do. And over the years of making music and still not tapping into the importance that it has, the impact that it has, how it inspires, and also how it heals. And so over my time of just, producing, writing, um, and knowing the importance of and lyricism is a medicine. It's a prescription, that when you take it, you feel better, no matter where you are in your life. And my life started with honestly just having a care and a love and a passion for people. And I love that because it stemmed into mentorship, it stemmed into motivation, and then mentorship, motivation, and music. And those were the three elements that it stemmed into. So it created a massive um, mentoring program with over 300 boys.
Mm,
It stemmed some unique places to be able to impact, motivate, and inspire around the world globally. Even musically, a lot of people that done music with me either right now on Broadway or just doing music for, professionally.
yeah.
And one of the things I love to say that is important to know what you're connected to, because what you're connected to, it can be a impactful destiny and journey, or it can be a negative impact or journey. And so I knew that I was glad that I was in a part of a system that had positive and manifestation and prosperity written all over it. So I was grateful for that. Um, Spent some time in the school system, as a dean of discipline and curriculum instruction. Spent some time working with in a residential treatment center for adolescent boys. And also having another program called Young Hearts Entertainment, which was a co-ed program that really shaped a lot of young people's lives. Even still now, these young lives are now mothers and fathers and husbands and wives and professionals. And so I was glad that I was trusted with this assignment and glad that I wasn't hard headed enough to derail the alignment. And so I'm grateful. And this is where we are today.
Wow, wow. Now y'all know it's hard to get me speechless. So when somebody come up here and give me a little speechless, it really means something because there are so many things that we have to unpack with what you just said and
Mm.
how you just delivered it, right? Like one, just being attuned to like really leaning into your assignment and not sabotaging someone else's future because you don't want to be aligned, right?
Right.
And so thinking about like the boys and then even the co-ed program of everybody who got to become the person that they were supposed to become because you became the person that you were supposed to become.
Oh,
And
yes.
when I think about us like navigating purpose pivots, you said that one thing too, where we had to have that listening
Mhm.
ear.
Yes.
So how have you developed that listening ear over time?
By being hard headed.
Ooh.
By being hard headed. I developed a listening ear by being hard headed. And then I also developed a listening ear by hurting um, who gave me the opportunity to hear. And that is God. We hurt him sometimes by us not listening. And then there's a journey you go down when you don't follow the plan of his and you create the plan of yours. And he does have a way of bringing you back to where you belong, but you have to want to be intentional to hear him again when you have lost your way, when he's made the way. And so, yeah, it was definitely by heart being hard headed, but I also tapped into being convicted by not listening to someone who really loves me and care for me, and someone that really wants me to do well. Um, and I guess when I got that, when I came back to what I needed to listen to, my life, um, it pivoted greatly. It um, it elevated greatly. And so being out of that will, man, it was just a lot of turmoil there. But being in the will is a lot of elevation there. Yeah.
Being in the will, y'all. Being in the will. When you were talking, one of the things that came up for me literally in prayer this morning, I was like, God, I have created a lot of plans and just jacked up some things, right?
Yeah.
And even though he's merciful, he's kind, I still have to live out the consequences of Jamila's plans.
Mhm.
And as I'm thinking about this next season in my life, I'm like, oh, I want to do this, want to do that. And it was like an immediate, like, but are you assigned for that right now?
Yeah.
And one of the things that I'm growing through is understanding that there are some promises that I have, right? But then also understanding the timing of them and not trying to force them into now.
Yeah.
Right? Especially when you start to be in his will, he starts to tell you some of the secrets about you and your future and your life. And you
Yes.
get excited about it. And you're like, well, give it to me now. Like, it's
Yeah.
mine, right? And it's just
Hmm.
like, no, it's for an appointed time.
That
And
is.
so thinking through like your own life and how you're helping people heal out loud, how do you merge in like that music, God, and growth at, all into one?
What happens is we complicate what God has given to us. That's supposed to just be honestly um, an easy pace. We complicate it because we want to do it our way, not his way. And so when I was already music and therapy was already happening, I just now needed to find my ground and what it was going to actually be and become for those it would transform their lives, their mind, body, as well as their soul. So um, all of that, it was already there. And sometimes we try to add more to our gifting because we're insecure in our gifting. Okay. And so when you're insecure in your gifting, you would add some things that God has never appointed to be there in the first place. So then that when you get that contamination and you pollute that thing, then it would never manifest the way that it needs to because you added something there that was never supposed to belong there. And so I had to get back to the roots. I had to get back to what was authentic that he created. And what he created was just enough. I was just supposed to be the manager and the messenger for it and carry it out. And sometimes we forget our positioning and we forget our posturing. And so, and when that happens, the weight happens. And the weight happens on when you make him wait, he will make you wait. And
Mm.
so when you could have had that bag, um, you could have had it a long time ago. But where were you postured and where were you seated in the plan? And so sometimes we just cause that stagnation on ourselves. So when I say, God, okay, I just need you, we went back to, listening. I want to listen. I want to hear you again. So when I got back to hearing him again, that's when he said, yes, music is already therapy, but I just need you to now present it the way that I have called for you to do. So, and and then I did. My life became easier when I recognized that I was musical. A lot of voices around you will make you um, force the fit and forfeit God's plan. So I kept listening to people telling me that I'll be the next Kurt Franklin. I had people telling me that I would, I guess with my influence of or contacts, that whatever, that wasn't God's plan. And I wanted to be a major artist. Never wanted to be like Kurt Franklin, but that was just the words of other people. But my whole thing was, I guess they looked at my work ethic and that ability and associated it with him, which is not bad. But I got lost into what I wanted to do when God said, "No, here's your musical abilities, but I didn't give it to you for you to be a star. I gave it to you so therefore you can heal people." And I didn't recognize that until years and years and years down the line. And I became broke trying to follow a path he never planned. I became depressed following a path he never planned. I became discouraged following a path he never planned. But it wasn't until I got into that alignment is when my assignment became clear. And then that's when I started to enjoy um, what God has had for me. And now seeing that thing carried out now, it just structures you to kind of just be in that lane no matter what. And so now I'm afraid. I'm afraid to forfeit. I'm
Mm.
afraid to quit. I'm afraid to have my own plan. That's why I'm continuously every day to be like, God, I seek you first. And I know that all of these things will be added unto me. And so no matter, because sometimes what happens is that influence will make you feel like you got all power and all control, but it will also show you how much control and power you do have.
Man, this is so deep, so deep, so rich. One of the things that I think about is like once you got into alignment, and I am a person where I'm a global connoisseur of spiritual knowledge, biblical knowledge, like anything that's like wisdom. And one of the things watching some people's journeys, I've recognized that if you give that thing over to God, He will give you back something that is unimaginable. And right now, I see that with like Mike Todd. Like, he did not want to get up there and get to talking to them people.
Yeah.
He loved music. But now God has given that back to him in a very different way. And it's for his like purpose, his glory, and his will. And that makes me think about so many people who are gifted and talented and they get contaminated, as you said, early on because of the voices that are around them.
Yeah.
And it taints what God wants to do. And so you probably didn't know this, but I'm a former educator and have been a dean of discipline and academics.
Wow. That's a good connection.
and and I deeply care about kids. I
Hmm.
deeply care about their future. I deeply care about their identity. And I am just seeing the pattern of like if they are not in the right environment, what that does to God's original plan for their life. And then two, from a parental standpoint, one day I hope to have books and things like that to teach parents like how to go in there and dig for their identity early on.
That's important.
So like who you're raising. If you raising a little Moses, stop telling them, like if you raising a little, Joseph, you have to figure that out because sometimes unintentionally parents quench. the gift and quench the spirit early on when
Yes, they
it's
do.
them in operation. I don't know how we went down this path, but
Nah, you're good. You're good. You're good.
um it's just really making me think through that. And
Mhm.
so I like you to have had a path where it's just like, okay, I understand. I got to do this. This is what we're doing. But how have you navigated being the blueprint for something that's unseen and never like hasn't been created before?
Um, it started, it started from childhood. You recognize that you're not just different, but you're set apart.
Hmm.
And every time that you try to look like the same thing over there, you just see that some way somehow it just doesn't work for you. Being um, a preacher's kid, but then also having lived in a house where you're the only Christian boy and your brothers are Muslim. Um, Being in a house where you see domestic violence, being in a house where you're going from the ghetto to a private school, being in a house where you are forced into gang activity, being in a house where um, you just recognize that you don't even know what blueprint is, but you recognize that later on, as you survive the very things that were supposed to be your life, um, God just showed me that it was just along my journey, because the things that I went through wasn't just I was the one that had to carry it out, because I was also the one that had to bring it out. And because I was going to be, sometimes God would allow you to deal with some things that you will come out of, but other people are finding it hard to come out of. And so he will use you as a vessel, and know, because your heart is postured for that type of an assignment, he will introduce you to the heart that is aching. And when he introduces you to the heart that is aching, he know that you will go in with him and not by yourself, that you will die to self, go in with him and say, here's the way. And that's without judgment. That's without condemnation. That's with, I love you, and there is an opportunity for you. And when that happened to me, and I realized what I was being used for, that's when I understood the blueprint. And then that's when I was okay with being set apart and not just different. Same thing with Moses, same thing with Joseph. And when you feel like you're not even thought of, when you're last, you will become first. And you're showing other people the same God that did it for them, he can do it for you too. And that's how I understood my blueprint, because God had to show me what that looked like by me going through it and helping somebody who's going through it as well. That's when I understood my blueprint, because my blueprint became my pulse.
Yeah, yeah. I know y'all are looking like, how can I get connected with him? How can I support what he's doing? Like, because one of the things that I am recognizing we have to do in the Western culture is really learn honor more.
Hmm.
And sometimes we wait until it's too late to really honor like the gifts that God has given us. And so, like, I'm a connoisseur of the African culture, which I need to chase my roots back to and figure out exactly where. But they live and breathe honor, right? Whether it's just someone older or whether it's something that someone has accomplished, right? Because one, we have to honor because you develop the courage to say yes and obey.
Hmm.
We have to honor because you were bold enough to continue going through the warfare, right?
Yeah.
And I think the third piece is like after you survive, you didn't just slump down, right?
Hmm.
Um, and it's easy to get caught out there when you are, becoming like the first one and the trailblazer and staying motivated to keep going.
Hmm.
Like one of the things that I kind of think about when I want to just be like, I'm over this every
Right.
I've like thought through Like, what if, because at some point in my life, like, I was like, God, I'm gonna see you in the morning, and that's all. You know,
Right.
I want to be a normal 20 something year old. So that means
Right.
I want to be at the day parties, all
Yeah.
things. And when I started law school, I was working full time as an educator.
Mm.
And I said, I can't do this without God. But I ain't going to
Right.
nobody's church though. So what are
Mm.
we gonna do? And literally it was like I was in my living room and it was like, go find that woman thou art loosed man. That's what I call Bishop Jakes. The woman thou art loosed man. And so over time, I was like, what if he didn't say yes?
Mm.
I would not be in the realm and in the way that I am. And like, I love God. I
Yeah.
fear God, right? Like, I don't play around with it. Like, it's sometimes a little unhealthy fear, but it's just like, no, 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 no. Like, that's my Lord. That's my Savior. Um, and so I say all that to say the yeses matter for the other people. And
Yeah.
so, how do you, keep them in mind too, even as you're having to navigate all of the things that you have, because life happens for you, right?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Um, it I take them on the journey with me. Honestly, I do not lie to anybody about the reality of life while I'm trying, because what I just did was you became a part of my community. So now you have no choice to see my reality. I can show you an imagery and it can not be and it could be my imagery can definitely just kind of just be what you perceive to be wealthy, what you perceive to be famous, what you perceive to be uh you know the great life that you would love to live. But with all of that, it comes the reality of life. What is that? Like just last week, I had to step away from everything. Literally. I paused my businesses. I paused meetings. I paused travel. I paused everything because something was creeping up that I knew that I just really need God to really tap in and to rescue me. And so, with helping people heal, I would not lie to you to tell you that I'm not trying to figure out what that looks like for me as well. I am intentional about what my healing looks like. And that will help somebody else to know what their healing looks like as well. And it's just about me just being honest with you and letting you know that no matter all of the postings that you see that may impact and motivate and inspire you, no matter this type of a platform that may encourage you, do not look at the individuals who have something magnificent to say and don't think that they're not struggling as well. And like I said, just like last week, I was struggling, but I was so intentional about what my healing looked like. And that's why it's important for you to take your therapist with you. It's important for you to take your community with you. It's important for you to take your spiritual leader with you. It's important for you to take your coach with you. So, therefore, when you're having a dilemma in your life, it doesn't become a fatality because you have the people around you that said, although that you're had an accident in your life, it doesn't mean that it needs to be fatal. So yes, and I know some people that if they was going through what I was going through last week, they'd have probably checked out. But being honest, being transparent will let you know that you have an opportunity to get out too. Because some people just need somebody to be strong for them. And I listen to problems all day. You got to understand, I have a music and therapy business, and I'm in behavioral health, so I hear problems all day. How many of those aren't mine? How many are of them um how many of them aren't mine, and how many of them are mine, and how many of them did I just consolidate and now I don't know the difference between mine and theirs? So you don't know what type, you can't even identify the weight. And when you can identify the weight, you definitely don't have the bandwidth. And when you don't have the bandwidth, you're just in a fog that you just can't wait until it just go away and sun comes in. The One of the biggest problems that happens in life is that even the meteorologists get the forecast wrong. And so in your life, you never know what the forecast going to be. You're hoping for sun, but how long do you have to stay in the fall?
Wow. And, one, I think you are literally modeling for us what it's like to heal your wounds out loud. Not only because your willingness to share, but also you have a pulse on you because of your relationship with God
Mhm.
that allowed you to know that it was time to go and disconnect.
Oh yeah.
Right. And I feel like so many times and we don't think that we don't trust God, but it's
Mhm.
literally a lack of trust of God. Well, I cannot go and take care of myself because this is not going to be in place. And one of the things that one of my mentors, Dr. Darius Daniels, talks about is having this messianic complex,
Mhm.
and how sometimes we put ourselves in the place of God unintentionally, thinking that we have the power to solve the problem anyway. And what you just said is, I knew that only God could rescue me from this. So I went to the one who could.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did. I had to carry what he gave me to support me with me,
Mm,
and this is why we can't, you have to know the temperature and the climate and the atmosphere of your own life.
mm-hmm,
Sometimes you could be adding things that just does not coincide with your atmosphere, your environment, neither your climate. And you can force a temperature change if you don't have the right people in your life.
mm,
And if you anemic, stop bringing cold people in your life.
mm,
And so you gotta know who you are, what you are, and what you need to have in order to navigate this life and also navigate this assignment and all of that, because it impacts so much. It impacts so much. Wounds Healed Out Loud came from my own personal place, because as long as it's like there were wounds there, and I kept picking at it, thinking that, every time it itched, I scratched it, not knowing that I was making it worse.
mm-hmm,
And this scab just turned into, it went from old sore to new sore to old sore, back to new sore. And I'm like, you know what? Nah, this can't happen. I need to really give this thing the right treatment, and I need it for it to heal the way that it needs to. And not knowing that the acronym for Wounds Healed Out Loud was whole. And that wasn't in no space of marketing and trying to have a dope name. It just because it was all of the plan. And that's just what it was. And so it just like your mentor said, Dr. Darius Daniels, absolutely we put ourselves in a place as if we're God. You're not God. God is in control. I got a bracelet on right now, and it's like God is in control, and He is. He is. He's going to tell you how to handle the complexities of life. He's going to teach you how to do that. And each and every day, as I'm talking to our clients and mentees and even leaders, um, you can't do this thing called life by yourself. Everybody just want to be this person that, like, I did it. It's okay that you have had help, assistance, someone to walk this journey with you, because if you're by yourself, you will fall, fail, and die. you know and that's what we're here to do. We're here to help people get to their next unbroken,
mm. Yeah.
because we're doing ministry broken. We're millionaires broken. We're sitting on yachts broken. We're wearing all the fancy clothes and the name brands and stuff, and we're broken. It just to show you that none of this has a switch that turns on happiness. And that's why if clothes was going to make me happy, listen, I do it all. I'll be on a yacht, I'll go swimming, I'll do all of that. And a lot of that just showed me, yeah, it's just stuff. We just away for the moment. But how do I really deal with me? How do I deal with the inner me and that enemy that's trying to suppress me?
Mm,
How do I deal with that? Because you in the warfare. When you're doing this thing called life with Jesus, listen, it comes with warfare. You know what I'm saying? It comes with warfare. You just have to put yourself in a position to know how to win the war. And that's just what it is. And we just have to be honest. And I think if we be honest, to people who need to hear, who loves on us, needs to hear our honesty, because a lot of transparency, people are praying how they can take you down again,
mm, mm,
because a lot of people would like to see you dead. A lot of people would like to see that your gift is sifted from you. A lot of people would like to no longer hear your name anymore, because where you are, they felt as though that they should be. A lot of people hate they hate your influence. A lot of people hate that you even exist, because it seems like all eyes is on you. It seems like everybody want you. It seems like everybody like you. But if they knew the pressure that comes with the mantle and knew the pressure that comes with the mandate, they wouldn't ask for the position either. They'll sit in their spot and they'll be pliable and they'll be humble, and they'll say somebody got to do it. And that's why many were called and few were chosen.
listen, you're teaching good. You're teaching good. As you were speaking, one of the things that came to me was I was reading this Ephesians 6
Hmm.
and 18, and it says, with all prayer and petition, and I'm reading the Amplified version,
Hmm.
pray with specific requests at all times, on every occasion, and in every season, in the Spirit. And with this in view, stay alert with all perseverance and petition, interceding in prayer for all God's people. And if we go back to the KJV, it says, praying always with all prayer and supplication in the Spirit, and watching thereunto with all perseverance and supplication for all saints. And what that is really talking about is the fact that, like, that's how we carry God with us. And so many times, and it's like, lean not into your own ways, and in all your ways he will direct your paths. Like, and we go to people, we go to our own logic. And I think that one of the things that is helping me in this season is just like, I go to God. And I
Hmm.
know hell and his, like, the hell is tripping right now, because
Right.
they're like, we set this girl up 15 times in the
Yeah.
last 15 days and we got her once.
Yeah.
Right. But it's like, I have leaned in and locked into the fact of, like, oh no, if I stay in this word, somewhere in this word, it gave me the cheat code to the victory.
That's good.
And like, what I'm perceiving as warfare, like, is it really, like, or is it like you're trying to distract me from what's really happening
Hmm.
spiritually?
Hmm.
And Tori Roberts taught this lesson once, and I was like, this thing is gold. And he went through like the cycle of your levels. And
Hmm.
it's like you go down and then you have to come up. And when you're going down, most people lean into that and, like, oh my God, my life is going down. But we spiritually, we're about to come up. So when we start to lock into that, it helps us as we're navigating being a blueprint, as we're navigating, having a mantle, as we navigate, like, becoming whoever it is God has created us to be. It's in the word.
Hmm.
Um, I don't even know how I came up on, this
Nah,
one.
you're good. You're good. This is good. You're
Like,
inspiring me. That's good.
man, but like, that's the reality. So, you survive all this, you go through all of these different seasons, and then God wastes nothing in your life. and
Mhm.
then you birth whole. Talk
Mhm.
to us about that birthing process and how you use the lessons and the victories and everything of the past to really build an organization that's going to transform the world.
Wow, I appreciate that. Whole was birth, and it's funny because, like I said, it started with the mentorship. It started with the mentorship, and that mentorship piece was just basically me being able to inspire, me being able to help people heal and understand and find their next, um, although it may have been difficult. And so when it started off like that, there was at the time it was music and then it was mentorship. But in that mentorship, there was motivation there. So what happened was I didn't understand the therapy aspect until I believe that um, one day this young man called me and was like he was like, I wanted to work with you for years, like hit me up on IG. And this little amazing Caucasian young man, like, yo, I've been being mentored you, been being mentored by you from afar. But right now I'm going through a crisis and I want to kill myself. And I just want to know, how can I get with you? And so what happened was he was inspired by me as a producer. And I said, okay. And he gave me his story. And when he gave me his story, we talked and we did some therapy together. And then after that, we recorded his situation, his life song.
Mm,
And that changed his entire life. No more did he feel suicidal. He found his identity. He was able to get over the hurt and the pain that he was going through, and he was able to come to peace what transpired and not allow his past to determine his future. And so I made sure that I did life with him, and I'm still doing life with him, because no one age out of my program. No one ages out. We still do life together. And so that was important of how whole was basically coming together. I put him in my circle. I put him in my line of work. I put him in those spaces, and I allowed him to get every disgusting thing that was trying to break his life down out. And so that's how whole became what it is. And I recognize that this is what Wounds Healed Out Loud looks like.
mm-hmm,
Someone that comes to you and say, hey, I'm dealing with something that I have two sides. Is the one where I could take my life, or is the one where life can be restored? And so I'm like, all right, cool. And then after that, like I said, it went from mentorship to just being motivational. God has allowed me to, speak all across the world. And then after that, I just started seeing how music, and like every time I was like on stage, it was like music and motivation, and I'm like, this is, and I still wasn't figuring it out. I probably, if I really want to be honest, after working in the form of whole, won't healed out loud, I probably want to say that just last year it stuck.
mm,
Again, God would give you something that you're operating in for years, and you may not even know um, what the mission is of how to actually explain it, but you're working in it. Sometimes we make things so complicated because we want it to be the best seller. The
mm-hmm,
best seller is just doing the work. The best seller is just being authentic and intentional. That's the best seller. The best seller is when that person's life is no longer in the space where they want to commit or attempt suicide. That's the best seller because you was authentic in that space. And how whole started coming together, then I started to say, okay, now I need a board. I need a board. I wasn't concentrated on just skill. I was concentrated on the heart for the skill, because I could get all of these therapists and I could get all of these medical doctors and I could get all of these educators to join me on my board. But every person who got a degree doesn't passion hearts the same way. So I had to find people that bleed when they see somebody bleeding.
Mm.
And so I had to be very strategic about who I was choosing to combat this war with me that people were going through. That's how Whole was coming together. And I said to God, I said, if this is what you want me to do, give me everyone that's supposed to be a part of this and
Mm.
allow it to go so easy that it's not complicated. And so he did. I have an amazing board of directors. They're literally like handpicked, prayed over to help me combat these issues that are going on, and just never losing what you've been called to do. And so that's how Whole came together. And now, I mean, Whole have went to Berkeley Music College, in Boston. Whole has went to London, Piccadilly Square in Camden. Whole has been to Nyack Music College in New York. Whole has been on some amazing platforms, but it wasn't the platforms. It was the lives that said, I'm no longer dealing with what I'm dealing with because you gave me a supplement that I'm able to take on a daily basis that doesn't put me back in that state of position that I found hard to bear. And that's what Whole is. That Whole is just that. Whole is that evidence-based treatment, holistic care and support, saying, for a unique healing experience through music and therapy.
Mm. You know, as you're like talking, I just think about how someone is on the other end listening to this, that's now being encouraged to run with something that's unique,
Mm-hmm.
that is now learning how to pray in the right team for them, right? Who is now even learning a different prayer strategy on even how to ask God for the flow of the team to go, right? And I think like even me just knowing my little small part that I'm playing, how much of a blessing it is for you to be able to participate in impacting lives. And I think if people really took on their businesses, their assignments, whether it's at a job or anything like that, as doing God's work and having the ability to impact the lives that he's called to, whoever the visionary is at top, I think that will shift the culture of
Mm-hmm.
some organizations, right?
Oh
It will
yeah.
shift the way that you show up to do things. And I think that's one of the things that kind of sets me apart, with the work that I do as a business strategist and an attorney, because I'm like, I understand that there are lives on the other side of them not being structured right. I
Yeah.
understand that if they don't have the right ownership in place, then someone is able to come and steal God's idea. Like, no,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
you
Yep.
know what I'm
Yep.
saying? Like, and so for me, my favorite word right now is hell no, because
Yeah.
I'm telling hell no.
Absolutely.
Like that, like that's the thing. And it's just like it pushes me in a new realm and in a new direction, because I'm like, nope, I gotta do this, because there are people out here that just don't understand the ramifications of them not putting the right structure in place and doing the right things. And so, one, just we got to be thankful for God just bringing us into the revelation, because it allows us to grow right, and to impact right, and not be at a place in space, especially sometimes with people of color, where we look back and we say, oh, but
They do.
like,
Oh snap.
right?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know. Like,
Yeah.
ignorance of the law is not an
Oh,
excuse.
yeah. You will know soon.
Yeah. So, I could keep you here all day, but I won't. I know you're a busy man, got a lot going
No, you're
on.
good. You're good.
What is, one final thought you want to give to this audience around their journey to more, your journey to more, and how they can really navigate it and pivot in the right way?
Definitely. I would definitely say know your why.
Mm,
Know your why. Your network is your net worth, and understand that your connection of people, like all of my mentors, I'll give you just a personal, all of where I'm going is all of what I have surrounded around me.
mm,
Okay, so I have a um I have a nonprofit mentor who is extremely not only wealthy but impactful, because you want to be connected to something that's not a deficit. And also, we just like, even in whole, it's not about we got 300 clients, because um having numbers doesn't mean impact, healed, and recovered.
mm,
These people can be in a recidivism if I don't really have the right structure, strategy in place for them to no longer relapse. And that when I help them reacclimate them back into society, that they will remember it was their past, and not their present again. Also, while you're on your journey, you want to be low key progressing than to be in a spotlight losing.
mm,
Okay. Make sure you're covering all your bases of what it is you want to. It's like the onion. You want to peel it back. You want to know everything that goes within what God has given you. You don't want to miss a beat. Um, One of the things I would also say is that because of how I came up even in the industry, it was kind of a little hard for me. And that's why I had to kind of get right back into my identity and not someone else's. You have to understand that when I started off in the music industry, I had um, mentors who are already in the music industry. And then I started losing who I was because I started operating like them. And then I started making their platforms my platform. I started making myself feel like I have arrived when I did not. It was for me to get into, have a servant's heart. It was for me to be okay that I was in a personal assistant and not a manager yet. And I stepped in every position that it was, and I played those positions successfully. So when I became CEO, it made sense. So that's why I'm not um, being a master over my team, making them slaves and talking down to them, belittling them, and all of that type of stuff. Be okay with knowing how to start.
mm,
Be okay with knowing how to start, because you could keep going and not go nowhere, or you can keep going and end up somewhere. But along those ways, you want to make sure you have the right mentors who are not going to yes you. And you have to have the right mentors who are not going to make you compromise because they know you're thirsty for a platform. So you want to make sure that you got people who's been assigned to you by God. I have people in my life. They're just not because they're celebrities, or they have nothing to do with that. And I tell people all the time that don't get discouraged because of the promotion God gave you, because he believed that that's where you're supposed to be, and believe that the people that are there are supposed to be connected to you. And so, because I've had that said to me several times, oh, all of your mentors and everybody's celebrities. No, it's just that when I got promoted, I was with people who did the work. And
mm,
so it showed doing the work what that level would give, and what that level would be. The celebrity, they didn't go into it for celebrity. What happened was they became a household name because of the impact that they put in the earth. And so that's what happened. You no longer are on the same level as where you were once before. So do not get discouraged because God has promoted you and put you in the around the table with people who are going to actually take you to your next. And so, and don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to go out there and to, you know, see the mistakes, feel the mistakes, understand the mistakes, and so you can be able to tell the mistakes. I didn't come on here today to give you a grandiose story. Um, Something was birthed out of hardship. Something was birthed out of hard headedness. Something was birthed out of getting it wrong several times. Something was birthed out of the weight. Something was birthed out of yielding. Something was birthed out of confusion. Something was birthed out of me saying yes. And so just keep going. Be careful and be aware of those that are around you that may be also prohibiting your launch. And so, um, and if you are in a space and in a place where you are having a hard time, Wounds Healed Out Loud would love to help and assist you. We are um, definitely private, definitely will protect you. And because you need to know what healing look like, and you don't need people talking about your story. And so we protect your space and we protect your place. And if you are on a verge of, hey, I'm trying to navigate my dreams, and but depression is there. I'm trying to navigate my next, but I'm having some childhood issues and adult issues, and I can't figure out what my community is supposed to be. And I need to get my healing straight. So therefore, I can properly pivot it within my success. We're here to help you. And if you just need traditional therapy, we got you. If I'm in therapy, come on. Hey, and it's working. And so however we can assist you, however we can help you, we have every program there is. There is one part of my system where it's co-occurring, which it's mental health and substance use. And there's another part of my business, which is, music therapy. And yes, we will protect you. We're not going to put your stuff out there because I don't want my stuff out there, but we're here to protect you. And so if you're in need of any assistance, need of any help, need of any, need a community to do life with you, reach out to us. Information is there, Orlando Vick Jr., IG, Facebook, Orlando Vick Jr. And feel free. We would love to mentor you. We would love to give you a coach. We would love to make sure that you heal and heal correctly, and be grateful for that you did the work in you, so you can do a work in the earth.
Well, I don't have nothing else to say. I can't even, be grateful that you did a work in you so that you can do a work in the earth. Well, okay. We thank you for your time,
Thank you.
your expertise. And I'm just going to leave you all with this: become more so that you can do more. And that's the thing that's really going to get you to the place where you have more. It's been
Yeah,
another episode of The Journey to More. Thank you, everyone.
I appreciate you. Thank you.